A very warm welcome to all of you. Jai Hind and good morning. Let's get started with the first article that we are talking today in the daily current affairs and MCQ series. I believe that you all are doing good. Great. So the first article that we are discussing today, that is concerning the cyber security aspect, right? This is a study that was conducted. This is a research that was conducted by the World Economic Forum, and the World Economic Forum has come up with some of the very latest findings concerning the cyber security, right? So what is important from the prelims perspective is basically the Global Security Outlook 2022 report by the World Economic Forum, cyber security, which is a part of also your GS paper 3 in the mains portion of the exam, right? And certainly what are the findings of this report. So what the report says is that digitalization has increased because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that, nothing new in that, but what are the associated repercussions, the ramifications of that the global use of services such as the conferencing, such as video conferencing, that has grown tenfold, and so has the use of digital tools that has increased, right? Now the World Bank has estimated that by 2022 the annual total internet traffic will increase by about 50% from the levels in 2020, and you will be reaching 4.8 zettabytes, right? So if you were to stack or you were to store 4.8 zettabytes on DVDs, just to give you what exactly is the significance of this amount of data, is that this will create a stack of DVDs which would be long enough to circle the planet for 6 times, right? So that is the usage of data that the world is going to witness as we are progressing, and that has been certainly, the pace has been increased by the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So these are some of the very preliminary findings of the World Security Outlook 2022. Let's take a question now, and through that we are going to discuss few other things regarding this article, right? So the question reads that consider the following statements, or which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the World Economic Forum's Global Cyber Security Outlook 2022. First, the report suggests that the cyber resilience of small and medium businesses, SMBs, is seen as a critical threat to supply chains, partner networks, and systems. And second, the ongoing shift from cyber resilience to cyber security is an important step towards a more trustworthy and sustainable future. Okay, so Rohit says C. Hanji, the rest of you, please mark your answers quickly. Iske through we are going to discuss some of the other findings which are a part of this report here by the World Economic Forum. Okay, Rohit and Vivek are saying C. Let me just wait for a couple of more answers to come in before we start discussing the statements. ठीक है, Shubhankar says B. Okay. Great. So look, when we are discussing about the first statement here, जो पहली statement है, that says that there is an entire chain in which there are multiple players that are involved. So in that you also have the small and medium businesses, the SMBs, which are a part of this entire chain, right? Which is certainly extending. This is an open-ended chain on both the sides, right? So as far as this chain is concerned, in this particular chain, what the report by the World Economic Forum states that right now, out of all the respondents, the majority of respondents are right now fearing that the critical or the weak link in this entire chain is this small and medium businesses. That is the SMBs. They are a critical component of it, and they do not have that much capability on the financial front, you can say, and also on the technological front to build their cyber resilience, right? So if they are not able to build their cyber resilience, that means that they are more prone, they are more vulnerable to any kind of cyber threat. And because of that vulnerability which this particular link here is exposed to, that makes the entire chain vulnerable, right? That is what we are talking about. So the first statement is absolutely true regarding the findings of the report by the World Economic Forum. Then the second thing that we are discussing, or the second part of this particular report here, that is going from cyber resilience to cyber security. That is not the case, but rather it is going from cyber security to cyber resilience, right? What World Economic Forum says is that you need to move from cyber security to cyber resilience. That is, you build your infrastructure, you train your workforce, you train your human capabilities, the HR capabilities, so as to, not just withstand any kind of security or a cyber threat, but in the first place, just avoid getting exposed to any kind of cyber threat. So the second statement, it is exactly the opposite which is being observed by the report here, that we are trying to move from cyber security to cyber resilience and not what the statement says. So second is incorrect. So for question 1, answer will be A, that is only the first statement is true. Okay. Now look, why we are talking about, cyber resilience over cyber security. The World Economic Forum itself provides that insight, that you are talking about nailing the cyber security basics here in the emphasis on cyber resilience, right? This includes a host of things, that is patching the vulnerabilities, detecting and mitigating any kind of threat, educating your employees, your workforce regarding what could be the proneness or what could be the vulnerability on the cybersecurity front. So that also has to be done as a proactive measure. Look, when you're talking about security, that is something on the front of when you are, trying to avert a crisis or trying to fight a crisis that has already occurred, right? But here you are talking about proactively doing a host of things. You are proactively trying to do multiple things, which also include cybersecurity as a part of it. Right. Then the aim of cyber resilience is certainly to ensure operational and business continuity with minimal impact if at all there is a cyber attack that happens. ठीक है, yes, exactly विवेक, A is the answer here. ठीक है, अब ये 3 जो हैं मेन पिलर्स हैं जो वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की जिसने जो रिसर्च जो कंडक्ट की है, and that research has relied upon 3 main pillars, that is prioritizing cyber in business decisions, second is gaining leadership support for cyber security, and third is recruiting and retaining cyber security talent. Now this is one of the most crucial things which maximum number of CEOs who responded to the report have cited, right? That recruiting and retaining that cyber security talent is one of the most critical challenges which they are facing across the world, right? So that is with respect to the cyber resilience over cyber security, right? And certainly that is how we have discussed the report itself by the World Economic Forum, and your answer becomes A, right? I believe that is clear. We all are clear on that count. That is the cyber resilience and the cyber security aspect, right? Chaliye. Great. If that is the case, give me a thumbs up in the comment section and I'll be able to gauge it that you are clear with it. Fine. So moving to the next article. Now this article, this is an editorial exactly written by Pulappare Balakrishnan, who talks about the economic costs, the economic advantages, but the environmental disadvantages of the Silver Line project which the government is trying to undertake in the southern state of Kerala. What exactly is the article talking about is that this Silver Line corridor which is being envisaged from Kasaragod to Thiruvananthapuram, that certainly might be proving beneficial on the economic front, but that is going to have huge costs as far as the environment is concerned, right? And what the article talks about, or what the editorial talks about, that this is not going to be sustainable. This is going to be damaging as far as the sustainability to the environment is concerned. And apart from that, what they want is that please look for an alternative in spite of or in place of the Silver Line project. Look for an alternative, and that is how the editorial talks about, right? So let's quickly take a look at what is important from an exam perspective is the Silver Line project, because that is in news, the protests regarding it and the recent developments, the basic details regarding the project. Now this certainly is not just important from prelims perspective, but also from the mains perspective. Why? Because you have the environmental aspect associated with it, right? So let's take a look at the basics. So this is, it entails building a semi-high-speed railway corridor, which is going to link Kerala's southern end and the state capital Thiruvananthapuram with its northern end of Kasaragod. That is what they are trying to achieve here. Apart from that, this is a proposed 530 odd kilometers corridor, which is going to cover 11 districts of the state. right? But still that is going to be damaging to the environment. You need to acquire land, which is going to be a tedious process, and not just you are going to acquire land. After that acquiring happens, you also need to clear that land. At many places, the change in land use also will have to be made, and it will require chopping down of the forest area as well, right? So that is why this article or this editorial is relevant from exam perspective. So let's move to the question now. Hanji, which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the Silver Line project? First, it has the potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help in expansion of RoRo services. Second, it is being executed by K-Rail through a joint venture between Japan and the Kerala Rail Development Corporation Limited. And third, the project will have trains of electrical multiple units EMU type with preferably 9 cars. Yes, so what do you think should be the answer here? Okay, Shweta says B. Right. Let's take a look at the answers which all of you are going to mark, and then we are going to discuss it. Please be quick. Okay, great. ठीक है, A and B and again B. Look, when we talk about the potential to reduce greenhouse gas emission, that certainly is being in the reference to the transport usage. The transportation in terms of automobiles, that is going to get reduced if you consider the benefits of this project. So that is how it is going to be beneficial on that front, and it is also going to help in the expansion of RoRo services. This is basically the, you know, the transportation for the trucks and the RoRo service. See, the RoRo services here, they talk about the trucks that are transported, the heavy transportation that is transported through the railway cargo. Right, that is what entails, or that is what involves the RoRo services. So that certainly is correct, that it has that potential. But when we talk about that it is being executed by K-Rail between a joint venture of Japan, that is incorrect. Japan has no role to play in it. It is only the Kerala Rail Development Corporation along with the Union Rail Ministry. Right. So second is going to be incorrect. Third is again correct, that what exactly it has is the electrical multiple unit type of trains with preferably 9 cars. Right. So for question number 2, first and third are going to be correct, and your answer will be A. Right. See, Tanisha Gupta, the point is that Kerala is trying to build a project which involves semi-high speed railway connecting its northern and the southern ends. Right. We have just looked the map. I'll just move it to the answer for question 2 is A. Right. Let's again quickly take a look at the map. There's a doubt by Tanisha. She's asking regarding the Silver Line project. So this is a semi-high speed railway project from Kasaragod, which is the northern end of the state of Kerala, running through all of these districts and reaching to the southern end of the state, that is the capital Thiruvananthapuram. Right. And for that, you obviously can witness it, that this is going to be a massive railway line that is going to be built. And on that, you have to acquire this entire stretch of land which is going to be required. And for that, you need to change the land use purpose, and you need to cut down many of the trees, many of the forests. Right. So that is going to have an environmental cost to it. Although the economic advantages are going to be there, which the state government is saying, but that also is having the cost on the environmental front. Right. That is what the Silver Line project is, what we are talking about here. Right. Great. So let's move to the next article. ठीक है, I believe question second का answer clear है सभी लोगों को. Okay. So the next article that we are talking about, that concerns the Gati Shakti plan, and Nitin Gadkari had met the various leaders. He is the Union Transport Minister, right? So what exactly is important here is the Prime Minister or the PM Gati Shakti plan, the projects that have been initiated under the plan, and you have, this is, participation is for at multiple levels. You have the central government, you have the state governments, and apart from that you have the corporates, you have the local bodies, local urban bodies also, and you have the different other stakeholders as well. So that is with respect to the Gati Shakti plan, right? So then when we talk about the pillars, there are 6 pillars which you need to know, or you must know, regarding what are the 6 pillars on which the Gati Shakti plan has been envisaged, right? So they are comprehensiveness, prioritization, optimization of the infrastructure projects in the country. See, this Gati Shakti plan is basically, it is involving multiple infrastructure projects and their creation, right? So these are the 6 pillars, that is comprehensiveness of the projects, that is existing and planned initiative of various ministries and departments with one centralized portal. Then through different departments they'll be able to prioritize their projects through cross sectoral interactions. देखो ये important क्यों है? Why is this important here? Because one major challenge in the administration or governance is that you are having lack of interministerial and interdepartmental coordination and cooperation. So what happens is that all the departments and various ministries in the central government and in the state government, they keep on working in different silos, often at cross purposes. And what it results into is that chaos, delay of the project completion, cost overruns, and ultimately the suffering of the common man. So that is why it is going to be helpful, right? Then you have the optimization in the form of National Master Plan, which will assist different ministries in planning for the projects after identification of critical gaps, right? So that is the 3rd pillar. Then the 4th pillar which we are talking about in the Gati Shakti is synchronization between, the individual ministries and departments, which often I talked that they work in silos. So that you are trying to resolve through the 4th pillar. Then the 5th pillar, that is concerning the analytical aspect of it. Last is the dynamic pillar, right? So I'm not reading all these things. Very simple. You can take a look at these in the PDF, right? जो लोग पहली बार ज्वाइन किए हैं उन लोगों के लिए बता दिया जाए कि जो PDF है इस सेशन का, that is available in the Telegram channel, right? और Telegram channel का लिंक कहाँ पे है? डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में, right? So this is a multi-modal project. मतलब कि बहुत सारे अलग अलग मिनिस्ट्रीज इन्वॉल्व हैं इसमें. एज यू कैन सी इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू देयर आर मल्टीपल मिनिस्ट्रीज, राइट फ्रॉम सिविल एविएशन टू पोर्ट, रेलवेज, ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड हाईवेज, कोल, फिशरी, finance, MSMEs, etc. Right? So it is a multimodal project. It is a multimodal initiative. That is the Gati Shakti plan. Right? Okay. So let's take the question now. Hanji. So, which of the following statements is or are correct with respect to the Gati Shakti plan? First, it is a 100 lakh crore multimodal national infrastructure master plan which will make a foundation for holistic infrastructure in the country. Second, it will enhance the global profile of local manufacturers and help them compete with their counterparts worldwide. And third, recently a defense industrial production corridor between Bengaluru and Hyderabad has been approved under this plan. Yes. Okay, Tanisha, I got your comment that, you know, that truck point with respect to that traffic at the end of the session. I'll just cater to your doubt, right? Let's proceed with the sequence of articles and then I'll certainly cater to that question. चलिए, great. So we have some answers here. देखो, यहाँ पे पहली जो चीज है, that is, you know, it is a 100 lakh crore multimodal project. Yes, that is absolutely true. That is how the project has been envisaged, right? Then it will enhance global profile of local manufacturers, certainly, and it is also going to make them competent enough to compete with their counterparts worldwide. Absolutely. But right now, the problem is that Bengaluru and Hyderabad, they are in news because they have been demanding that a defense industrial corridor be provided between the two under the PM Gati Shakti, which has not been done or which has not been provided, right? So they have raised their concerns regarding that, and for question number 3, the answer will be only 1 and 2. That is answer will be D. ठीक है, C आंसर नहीं होगा, ना ही B होगा. Exactly, महबूब, answer will be D. Yes, Rohit, answer will be D. Exactly, that has been given to Bundelkhand. Precisely, Ahana. That is why they have, they are up in arms against the awarding of that project to Bundelkhand, right? So what they have said is that Hyderabad is, it's a popular destination. It houses multiple defense-related facilities such as DRDO, DRDL, DMRL, and RCI. All these are in Hyderabad, and the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, that is based in Bengaluru. So that is what they have suggested, that it was very logical for a defense corridor to be provided between Bengaluru and Hyderabad, right? But that has not been the case, and that is why this was in news as well of late, right? Rather, it has been given to Bundelkhand. ठीक है, exactly, that is the point. ठीक है, चलिए. So let's move forward to the next article, that is what's behind the Houthis UAE attack. There are multiple articles these days which are carrying the Houthis and the UAE, the stalemate, or you can say the conflict between them, right? And certainly this you must have gone through, that Indians were also killed. So what becomes important from your exam, from your prelims perspective, is that the international relations conflict in Yemen and the Houthis group which is responsible for that, or that has claimed responsibility. So who exactly are the Houthis? If we take a look at their historical or their origin, then you have the roots of the Houthi movement. They can be traced to the believing youth, that is Muthada al-Shabal Muin, right? That is how you pronounce it. And it is inspired by the Iranian Revolution of 1979 and the rise of the Hezbollahs in Lebanon, right? So from there they were inspired to take up their cause, and these Zaydis were also their inspiration. These are named after Zayd bin Ali, right, who is the great grandson of Imam Ali, the Prophet Muhammad's cousin, and son-in-law, who Shias, Sunnis, and the Zaydis, they all revere. But the point is, right now the conflict is between these groups only, the Shias and the Sunnis fighting amongst themselves, right, which has led to such chaos, such civil war conditions in Yemen for the past 7-8 years, right? So that is why it is important, right? Chaliye. So let's take the question now. See, the scope of this session does not allow me to go into very elaborate details, right? Chaliye. So let's take the question now. Which of the following statements is or are not correct in relation to the Houthis that were recently in news? First, it was founded in the 1990s by Hussein Badreddin al-Houthi, a member of Yemen's Sunni majority. Second, the southern part of Yemen is one of their strongholds which is under its possession. And third, a Saudi-led coalition which was backed by the US, UK and France had earlier launched an air campaign in Yemen to oust them. Yes. So let's discuss these statements. Okay. Shubhankar says C and Tanisha says C. Chandrakant is saying D. Great. So look, first you are supposed to mark the incorrect statements. So this is not going to be Sunni, but rather this is going to be Shia majority first. And that is why this statement is incorrect. Then second, the southern part of Yemen was one of those parts from where they were ousted by the US or the Saudi-led coalition, right? So that is not one of their strongholds. Second is also incorrect. Then third is obviously correct, that the campaign was led by Saudi and it was backed by US, UK and France, right? So third is absolutely correct. So your answer will be 1 and 2. That is again option A for question number 4, right? So you can see this is the map which is depicting the conflict in Yemen, and you have the conflict zones, you have the UAE backed anti-Houthi forces, you have the Yemeni government, you have the Houthi forces, and you have the UAE backed Southern Transitional Council, the STC forces, right? Exactly, southern part is their stronghold, and they have been ousted from the southern part of it, from the southern part of Yemen, right? And this map gives you the exact pictorial representation on that count, right? So for question number 4, answer will be A, right? So that is how they were driven out from the southern part of Yemen, but the coalition failed to remove them from most of the northwest region, which is their strongholds right now as well. Okay, so that is how you need to approach the articles. You need to be aware of the geographical locations as well. Chaliye, so moving to the last question for the day, that is, which of the following statements either are correct? First, Indonesia recently passed a bill replacing its capital Jakarta with East Kalimantan. Second, it is situated to the east of Borneo Island. Third, a presidential decree would be required to officially change the capital from Jakarta to Nusantara. And fourth, the increasing environmental issues along with financial inequality have been cited as the reasons for this shift. Yes, so what should be the answer here? Okay, B. See, Tanisha, the Houthis, they basically, there's a conflict because certainly the Shia Sunni angle is also involved in it. But apart from that, there's a traditional, or you can say historical rivalry between the Saudi-led groups and the Yemenis, right? Certainly the Houthis. So because of that conflict has, you know, the Saudi-led coalition, including US, UK, France, they thought that they are going to just out the Houthis in a span of maybe months. But that has not happened in Yemen, and that is why it has protracted for 7 long years now. Chaliye, coming to the question number 5. So this is certainly in news right now because Widodo, who is the current president of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, he had basically, you know, moved this bill in 2019. He had declared in 2019 that Indonesia will be shifting its capital from Jakarta to Nusantara, right? And the province or the geographical location is East Kalimantan. So all the statements are correct here. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Your answer will be A, right? Let's quickly take a look at the map. So here you have this map which depicts that this is the East Kalimantan, and here you have located the new capital of Indonesia, that is going to be Nusantara, right? Yeah, it had been announced in 2019 by Widodo, who is the Indonesian president, right? And that is where the exact location is, which is east of the Borneo Island, which is here, right? So it falls east of it, right? And apart from that, you can also see the Banda Arc. You can also see, mention in the comment section that Jakarta or Sumatra ko separate jo strait karta hai. What is the name of that strait? What is the name of that strait which separates Java and Sumatra? Type that in the comment section. Right. That is the strait of, I leave it to you. But that is the strait of blank. Yes, exactly. Jakarta is facing a host of urban planning issues. It is facing financial inequality. It is facing environmental issues, because of which it has become, you know, not possible. It is no more possible for Indonesia to expand or to undertake any of the further developmental activities in Jakarta. Yes, exactly. The Strait of Sunda. Right. So that is the strait which you are talking about. Exactly. Yes. I can't see any answer from Tanisha Gupta, but yes, there are answers from other people. Yes, exactly, Shubhankar. Certainly, between the Indonesian islands of Java and Sumatra. Exactly. Right. So that is the map for it. Right. So question number 5 answer will be A. But before we conclude, let's just take a look at, you know, there was a doubt by one of the students regarding the, regarding the RoRo activity, I think. Yeah, regarding this particular project here. Yes. So look, when we were talking about this question number 2 here, Tanisha had raised a question that what is this RoRo service that entails the traffic and how they are going to reduce it, right? So certainly, look, this extent over across which you are going to build this complete network, that is this particular stretch. So on all these connectivity, or for all this connectivity that is going to be there, you're certainly going to reduce the road transport or the road traffic. Why? Because this semi high speed rail is going to provide you an alternative, right? And that is why this is going to reduce that traffic and the corresponding GHG emissions, the carbon emissions which comes from that, all that road traffic, right? Apart from that, the RoRo services that we were talking about, that includes the, the trucks, the transportation of the trucks that happens, the loading and unloading of the trucks through the rail cargo. So that is going to be from the northern to the southern end of the state of Kerala, right? So that is how it is going to be beneficial on these fronts. But that is just some of the pros of it. There are certain cons, there are certain challenges, there are certain costs to it on the environmental front, because of which the environmental activists, the academicians, and even the citizens, they are protesting against that the state should not go ahead with this particular project, right, Tanisha? I believe things are clear to you now. If that is the case, then we are going to wind this session up because we are done for the day, right? So thank you so much to all of you, and do hit that like button, before you leave, and I'll see you tomorrow. So stay safe, study well. Thank you. Jai Hind and bye bye.